You know, it'd be easy to say, oh sure, if I could go back to 1996 and get an 18-year-old Logan and say, don't do this. Pursue theater with everything you have. Part of me goes, man, that would have been great. The other part of me goes, then I don't have this story to tell. And it's an important story to tell. Not for me. I think more so for our dogs, our service animals that are over there. In 1996, while I was a senior in high school, I enlisted in the Utah National Guard and in the 19th Special Forces Group, Airborne, because I thought it'd be pretty cool to be jumping out of planes and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to earn that Green Beret. You know, they're the professional soldiers. You know, their motto is De Oppresso Libre, liberate the oppressed. And I was really drawn to that idea of service, and ultimately wasn't up to the task. And during that time, I had also started training at the University of Utah's acting conservatory to get my bachelor's in fine arts. And it ended up really fulfilling me, and it became a great passion of mine. Then 9/11 happened. And after that, in 2004, my senior year of training at the university, I got called to active duty. So I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, went through another annual training period there, and then I requested to be assigned to the 10th Mountain Division in Fort Drum. We were going to be deployed, and then I heard about this dog program. And that sounded a lot more appealing than doing demining operations in Afghanistan, laying on my belly with a probe and just day after day after day. 2 weeks later, I came down on orders to get transferred to Fort Leonard Wood to the 67th Mine Dog Detachment. I met Diego there, and we went through a 14-week dog course that was 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and it was really clear that Diego and I had a connection. So after our graduation, we had about 3 weeks before we were going to deploy to Iraq. Basically, for our area, any unit could request us. I worked with Army, Navy SEALs, the Marines mostly, even Iraqi Army and Iraqi police. We'd go out all the times. We'd have every kind of mission, vehicle checks, buildings, perimeters, IED sweeps, cache searches. There was a bounty on both of our heads that was placed there by the Mujahideen, $200,000 cash, US, for anyone who could either get me or the dog. They understand that if you can compromise one of us, the dog team doesn't function any longer. We had one IED that was triggered on our vehicle, and that was a cell phone trigger. That was the first combat that I had experienced over there. You have this incredible surge of adrenaline and hyper awareness, and then you don't have anything to do with that energy. And Diego came over, he knew something was wrong, so he tackled me. And he put his feet on my chest and he starts licking my face and he's saying, hey Dad, it's okay, we're all right, you know? So when we left Iraq in January of 2007, we were accredited with finding over 250,000 pounds of weapons, ammunitions, and explosives. And we also found 4 IEDs before they detonated. So that was our big success. We finished up our deployment. We flew out of Baghdad on the day they executed Saddam Hussein. And then I knew my contract with the Army was up. I had finished my service and I knew he was staying. And then it came time to leave. You know, I was done, get off base. I was eager to get home. I was eager to get out of service. I was eager to get back to the theater, but it's like leaving a child behind. So I spent the whole day in the kennel. We went for a walk until he was too tired to walk anymore. And then we both curled up on his bed until about 5 o'clock, and it was time for me to leave. And I said my goodbye to him and cried and got in my car and left. And then he goes through the process of breaking the connection with me and creating a new connection with his next handler. So once I ended my time in service, I went back to Utah, re-enrolled in the university, and went back to finish my last year of undergraduate for my bachelor's. Once that was finished, then I moved to Chicago, and I worked as an actor there for 2 years, and then decided to come to the University of Missouri at Kansas City to earn my master's in acting and directing. And all through this time, there's the occasional check-in with my old unit just to say, hey, how's Diego doing? Eventually that search hit a roadblock. You know, it got to the point where none of the guys that I was in that unit with were there anymore. Eventually I tracked down somebody who said, no, Diego's not in the Army anymore. He's working for Transportation Security Administration. I'm never gonna find him if he's in the TSA. And then somebody was like, hey, you should create a Facebook page. Okay, why not? So I created a page called Bring Diego Home, and I started posting it on all of the Military Working Dog Association Facebook pages. Has anyone seen anything? And it took a week before a woman said, I'm a civilian employee at Lackland Air Force Base, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that dog. So I called this guy and said, hey, I'm looking for my dog. He's a yellow lamb named Diego. This is his tattoo number. And he was like, oh yeah, I know that dog. You do? He's like, yeah, I'll call you back. So he went into his kennel with his cell phone and took a picture of Diego and texted it to me. You know, it had been 7 years. I had no idea where he was. I hadn't seen him. He was gray. He was an old dog. He was 10 years old. So I called him back and said, what's his status? I want to adopt him. You know, they were able to tell me he's getting pretty old. Retirement is probably an option for him. Just keep calling back and letting us know. I wasn't about to sit back and just say, okay, I'll just keep calling and eventually you'll tell me I can come get him. I wrote my senators, I wrote my congressmen. PETA found out through Facebook. They sent 600 letters to the Secretary's office in a single day. During all of this campaigning, I don't know that they're already planning on retiring Diego to me, but they can't tell me that. So I called him up in August and was like, hey, what's going on? And I think it was kind of a, okay, fine. The paperwork is done. I can tell you, you can come get your dog on this date. Are you happy? Now leave me alone. So it's, you know, it's 830 miles from here to San Antonio. Me and a couple friends drove down. Even when we were at the gate, I was like, something's gonna go wrong. I didn't think it was gonna work until I had him in my car and I was off base. So we went down, I went into their kennels, filled out a bunch of paperwork. They brought Diego out into an exercise yard. He hadn't seen me yet. And then they let me go in there and he was peeing on a tree. And I just knelt down and called his name and he recognized me immediately. And ran over, jumped on me, licking the face. We're rolling around, wrestling. And that was our reunion. He remembered me. We had been apart for 7 years and he remembered me. his doggy bed is right next to my bed, and I'll wake up in the night and look over because he started kicking the wall because he's running in his sleep, and that'll wake me up and I'll go, wow, I actually have him. Now I can't imagine life without him.
There. Call him off the search. Shower him with verbal praise. And let explosive ordnance disposal and their little robot find the bomb.
So I was talking to a really good acting friend of mine and asked him if he knew of any one-man shows that I could do for the local Fringe Festival that were 60 minutes. And he just said, yeah, yours. The initial process probably took me about 3 months to write a 45-minute one-man play about our experiences in Iraq. And I called it Bond, a story of a soldier and his dog. I wanted it just to be about me and Diego and some of the things we went through and how those things affected both of us and how we in turn supported each other to get through it. And then took it to the Kansas City Fringe Festival, and I didn't expect it. It turned out to be a huge hit. People loved the story.
Go, boy! Go, boy! Ooh. Diego found a bunch of Glock pistols hidden inside the door frame of the sedan. We dug a bit further and found a bunch of Iraqi police uniforms stuffed inside the seats.
I have had a lot of veterans come and see it, and that's always the most rewarding when they stick around afterwards and we talk for a couple minutes and they can share their experiences, or there's, some haven't said anything and have just hugged me and then left the theater. We need to give the attention that is due to these men and women who are sacrificing sometimes their lives, always their psychological well-being.
I was being affected by everything we were seeing and experiencing, and by my isolation from others.
Looking back on it, I'm very proud of the work that we did over there. There's no formula to say how many lives we saved, or if we saved any. But we took a lot of explosives and a lot of ammunition and a lot of weapons out of the equations for bad guys to use. There is definitely something to being in service of an idea that is greater than yourself. Service is the key to it. Serve your nation. I wanted to be of service. I wanted to have a positive impact on lives, which is ultimately a driving force behind my theater career too. I want to tell stories that have a positive impact on people's lives. I think everyone should serve. It changed everything. The absence of those nightmares, now that I have Diego back, is a big thing. The frequency of my PTSD attacks has lessened, the intensity of them has lessened. I've got my partner back.
Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, good boy. Good boy, Diego. Oh, good boy. So proud of himself. So proud of himself. Good boy.